Right. The most controversial one. Religion. Now, I grew up with a grandmother who was very religious. I went to a school where they used to make you go to chapel every Sunday. And, you know, I had friends who had all the skin removed off their private parts because of some religion or something. He was in agony, and I think they were because they were Catholic. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it's barbaric. That's my opinion. You know, there might be a reason for doing it. I don't know. Someone said, "Oh, it stops the end of your private part smelling." What? They've obviously never heard of soap and water. Anyway, I grew up partly religious, although very nice stories, but after a while I was seeing where they came from, and the amount of truth in them. You know, like for instance, Jesus probably did exist. You know, he probably was a person. Muhammad definitely exists. All the history books all say so. And I suppose some of the other people. Now, they all seem to have something in common. They've got an imaginary person, a god. Now, there's been probably up to between 2,000 and 4,000 gods made up. And that's for a reason. If you were seeing lots of people all killing each other and being nasty to each other and everything, and you were standing there and you said stop it, they're not going to stop it. But if you said, there's a person watching you who you can't see, that if you do anything wrong, he'll send you, when you die, you will go to a very bad place. You know, you can do what you like. I'm not going to kill you, but you are going to go to, and I think in the Bible, it's hell. So in other words, he's threatening you with going to hell if you don't be a good person, and you have to help others and all that. Now, when it all first came about, it was very, very good. It did the job. It stopped people killing each other, and people became good and you know, wanted to do well because they wanted to go to heaven and see the God. So yeah, everything was hunky-dory and it did its job and it was perfect. Next thing you know, some countries, again the country system comes into this, might have a different religion, and Muhammad most certainly attacked lots of other countries to spread his Islam, to make everyone Muslims, and their rules probably worked. You know, if somebody stole something, it might have been a very, very lenient sentence to have your hands cut off or whatever, or be buried up to your head in the ground and then have your head stoned by the public. So that might have been quite a lenient sentence in those days. But what happens is these things be outgrown. People start thinking, I've never seen Muhammad, I've never seen a god, I haven't seen any of the other 4,000 gods either. Okay, some people worship the sun. Now that's more likely to kill you than another god. You know, that's deciding our fate, although it doesn't know it. You know, so what you do, you say, look, my friend, you can't see him, he's all around us, but he will do this to you if you don't do what I say. That's what it turned out in the end. First of all, you've got to be a good person, otherwise you will go to hell where there's fire and there's somebody called the devil. But now what's happened is some have got way too serious about it. Way too serious about their God. You know, whatever he said 2,000 years ago, or in Islam's case 1,400 years ago. I don't know much about Catholicism, but what's happened recently, I mean, it's all got out of hand. You know, they're attacking children. You know, what's that about? What? So it brings into question, why are they actually Catholic priests? Is it because they do like the Bible and like talking about it, or is it because they prefer children? You know, I don't know. I'm sort of anyway, every other planet that manages to get past our stage doesn't have any religions. If they do, because this is part of the growing up of a planet, is to try and make the population good. So various things are tried, basically. One is, you know, if you're not good, the moon's going to come down and roll and deal with you. You know, there's so many things you could say, and you know, the Romans, they had a god for every subject, near enough. So anyway, the others have realised that they've put all the 450 odd planets, different religions, into a massive computer, all the evidence, everything, and it came out with a straight line. No ifs, no deviation. This is a probability. That definitely isn't a problem. None of it. Just went straight line right the way through the middle. That's all evidence ever gathered. That could even be from here, because as we know, you know, like for instance when I said about the Star of David being a spaceship, and the three kings being the visitors, to make sure that when they inseminated Mary, everyone thought she was a virgin, but they inseminated her, and when just to make sure she was okay, and then the baby grew up properly. So they used to bring stuff to feed the baby to make sure, and then they had the baby taught to say, look, here's a God. So those people in religion who want a way out can say, yes, there probably was a God, but it was men from a spaceship, obviously way ahead of us and could do anything to us they wanted. So yes, they were the God. So, you know, you can say that. But what you can't really say is he's all around us. He is in everything. He made everything. No, he didn't. We know how stuff was made now. You know. So there's that. Now, so what happens in our time is people get, it's way too serious. It's where Muslims, although if you look at I haven't got it up, but if you look at a pie chart of all the religions, Christianity is massive compared to Islam. Islam's only 2% of the population. So but for some reason they seem to be creating. They seem to, you know, they're allowed to lie to us to forward Islam, and that's in their book. Apparently, you know, I'd like lots of feedback on this. I think I'm going to do a consultation on religion too. So, but basically, I'm just telling you what they've said. There's on all the other planets there is no religions. There's all the stories still, and there's all the books. And if you want to, you can go and become a part of that centre of excellence. But there's a few rules. What you mustn't do is bring your children up thinking about that one religion, because when a child is developing, that's when they take everything into their mind. Their memory's empty, everything goes in, and they end up really believing it. even though it probably never exists for any religion. You know, the stories are there. Yes, they probably happened. They've been elaborated on. In the case of the Bible, years ago, some English kings and some other, I'm not sure of the story, but they changed it for their own ends, for their own good. And one Bible or scriptures found a long time ago didn't mention half the stuff in the new Bible. So, you know, it's all manipulated by man, basically. But on the other hand, if you want to study it, then you can do whatever you like on our Earth anyway, and on their planets. You can say that. But what you mustn't do is go around shoving it down other people's throats. That's what you mustn't do. They must go there, have a day at their centre of excellence for, say, Islam or whatever, and decide, and come out again. The other problem some of the religions have got, although we changed the Bible to suit King John, or one of the kings, I think it was, changed it to suit himself, Islam never changed. 1400 years of history, of attacking other countries. They've killed, I think it's 200 million people across the world, and they're still killing them now slowly. But then so did other religions too, but not half as many. You know, so 2% of the population, we've got to try and work out how they've managed to get. They managed us to get in this country where we have to tolerate them, otherwise we're racist. Even if it isn't a race, it's a religion. We're still called racist if we question even the bit where you have to kill animals in a certain barbaric way. Otherwise, they can't eat them. They can't eat certain animals, even though the meat is identical to most other animals. They can't eat it, you know. Anyway, anyone who tries to change the Quran, or whatever it is, has been killed. Been told not to interfere, and has ended up dead. Apparently, you know, I need people to say, you know, whether this is true or not. I'd like to know. But all I'm saying is, the day that I saw this probe, it said to me, one of the big problems in the survival of a planet is, even if, let's say for instance, it's like when the Germans came, they tried to conquer the world. Okay, say they'd done it. They would have had to live with all those deaths and the fact that they had conquered the world and destroyed all the cultural and, you know, although they did save nearly everything, gold, paintings, you know, they're still trying to unravel it today. Now, just say, for instance, Islam tricked us, and eventually, because a lot of Islamic families, or other families from other countries even, are having lots of children. You know, it's great to have 10 kids. If 2 die, you know, you've still got 8. But whereas we're having 1.6. So eventually they're going to take over by numbers alone. And the Houses of Parliament have now got 8 Islamic MPs, or maybe even more now. And, you know, they've all got a job, according to the Quran, and that's to advance Islam. So that's what they'll be doing. That's what everyone else, if they're following the Quran, that's what they should be doing. Now that's no good for the rest of the planet. Even if they conquer the whole planet, they kill all non-believers, and they get control of women, they virtually do what they like, kill people, they'll destroy any culture, they'll destroy all our wartime graveyards, they'll try and erase all our history, which is what they try to do in their new caliphate they build. They try to destroy, you know, Now that to me is a no-no. You know, so okay, be Islamic, that's fine. Read the Quran, that's great. Don't indoctrinate your children until they're old enough to decide for themselves. It's a form of brainwashing which should be made illegal. We all like, our kids to be, but if you see my education section, I think there's an education section in the consultancy series and in the UFO series, because I'll tell you how they teach their people. So basically, you must not feed it down the throats of other people. You must not say to them, sorry, but if you don't become Islamic, you'll have to be killed. That's not the thing. It's not the way. Or you become a sex slave. I mean, how ridiculous is that? You know, it's not right. And there's probably other religions too who have got similar. I mean, I think the Bible has got 100 and odd things about death in it. You have to be stoned if, you know. So they're all basically just as bad as each other, but must be kept because of our history and the nice stories. The history side of it must be completely kept intact for all religions, and the history side of it completely kept intact. But Islam will have to live with its 200 million deaths, and there's still people who don't get that you mustn't kill in Islam, and they're killing Christians in Africa to take over. Basically, they can't do it here because they get found by the police and killed. But you know, where they can get away with it, they're certainly going for it. And they pinched, what was that, 100 schoolgirls from a school just for their own sexual pleasure and wives. You know, and I expect there's other religions who think that too. You know, but it's all got to go, basically. If we're all going to live together, that's all got to go. But must be kept as history and our the stories. And if you want to go and study that, that's brilliant. You go and study that, you can, you know, but don't try and get us to study it. We don't want it forced down our throats, basically. So yeah, so if you've got, and the other thing is, it's like the country system. If you've got a lot of religions, one of them's going to want to be better than all the others, so you're going to get this problem. You know, Islam might eventually die out, or will suddenly realise what it's doing, and then another one will come in. You know, like there's 1.2 billion, or probably more now, in China. That's the ones we know about, and they're all, what are they, Buddhist or Chinese or whatever language whatever religion they all have. There's obviously many more people, although the chart still says there's many more Christians. There's only 2% Islam. The next one is the Chinese religion, Xing something, whatever that is. And then I think 20 or 30%, between 20 and 30% is Christianity. That's the biggest slice of the cake. So Islam's got a long way to go if it wants to defeat all of us, basically. And there will come a time when we realise what's going on. At the moment, they've really got us by the short and curlies, because they've shut us up by saying you can't be intolerant. They're allowed to lie to us, so we don't actually know what their intentions are. It says religion of peace. But, you know, your average 99% of the people who follow Islam are probably very peaceful, and look in the Quran and see a verse that says you should kill all non-Muslims, and they think, oh no, that's just old history. But there are some people, 1%, looking at that. I've got to do that. Allah says so. No, it's because it's history, not now. So therefore, now I'm going through what I've been told to say here, I mean, I do agree with, you know, most of it. We've got to watch what's happening now, and like I say, religion mustn't be a fanatical way of life. It's got to be the nice stories, the history. You know, we all like a warrior going into battle. If we can get our heads around the deaths, you know, that's a very nice warrior looking person was Muhammad. But like I say, you know, they're still taking over countries now and forcing people to be Islamic, not asking them, forcing them. That's completely different from them wandering into it themselves, I'm afraid. So there we go. We've got this was going to be quite a long one. We've got 20 minutes, so another 10 minutes roughly. Yeah, so there we go. Now it's the same thing. If I get my pen wherever it is, I've lost it. There it is. So there's your world. Split up into 4 religions. If it's based on history and stories, everyone's going to want to know. Very nice stories, great history, good ways of teaching people how to be nice to others. Yeah. Now, you get one that's big and fanatical. Now, he wants others to join his or be in his religion. So he'll attack this one, attack that one. This is what Muhammad was doing around the world. Many more countries, obviously. But I'm just giving you a quick example. And when he attacks this one, everyone is then Islamic. But they've got to live with the fact they went against their book, killing people. Because there's lots of contradictory verses in the... and we don't know which one is designed to throw us. You never know, because they're allowed to lie to us. So basically, you know, are they the religion of peace? In which case, they shouldn't be going into other people's countries killing them. Should they? That's obvious. But if they're told in their book to go and kill non-Islamics or people who don't believe in Allah, then yes, they'll come across here, but they've got to live with the deaths. So they will never be a real proper religion, because they've killed too many people, and that's happened already. They've actually stamped on their own feet by killing lots of people, and we all know that now. So, you know, now the Chinese with their religion, they won't push it on us, but they've got other plans, as we've seen with the virus. You know, why are they producing those viruses in a lab? Why are they doing that? Are they going to spread them around the world? Well, funnily enough, when you get to video number 26, I think it is, the last one, we were given, or I was given, a way to deter on a worldwide basis. And that was to do with viruses. So, you know, a virus can be produced which will kill whole populations within 3 weeks and leave everything else intact. And the reason why they could kill instantly, but the reason why they have 3 weeks is to give people a chance to switch everything off so that there's no fires. Everything, you know, if you go to hospital, for instance, you will switch all your electrics and things off. You know, so that's why they've done and this virus thing, okay, it takes a while to die, and you have to go to hospital. So it looks really similar, although it's obviously pretty rough because it's not doing the job quick enough. But so, yeah. So, you know, are they planning on that? I don't know. Buddhism is another one. And in some countries there's two different religions, and none of them can live with each other. None of them can live with each other. they're saying, no, we should be the best. Now that just doesn't work. That is the downfall of a planet. And planets who have had this system will not survive. You have to realise that it's good stories, good history, made good people. Now it's time to listen to the stories, yes, if they're good. Study it if you must, you know, but no forcing. No forcing it down people's throats. No forcing people to change. That's all wrong. You know, your gods will be jumping up and down, screaming, saying, why? That's not what I said. That's not what I was thinking. You know, people, basically, stories told over time, always twisted to what the person twisting the story wanted. As we've seen with the Bible, it's all been changed. And you know, as with ISIS in the Caliphate, you know, it looks like all they wanted was to have sex slaves and to stone people and burn people. You know, that's probably all that was coming out to us. But what were they actually doing in the Caliphate? Apparently everyday life was hell for normal people. You know, that's what's going to happen to our countries. You know, we don't like it. Anyway, that's you know, the extreme of religion. But basically, there was good stories, good history, nice stories. You know, you used to listen to them. But basically, it's got out of hand, and none of the other planets have got that kind of thing where people sit down and pray on a daily basis. It's a big waste of time. You know, how's he going to listen to all those prayers? And then what you're doing, you're asking for something you want. I want, or can you make so and so better? Can you do this? You know, how selfish is that? You know, you should get there and do it, not lay on the floor screaming at somebody who isn't there. You know. But there you go. But if there was a God and if he did create us, there's so much DNA in our bodies that we don't use anymore. You know, there would have been, it's all random basically. It's all fully automatic. If there'd been a God, we would be perfect. We'd be able to run like a cheetah, you know. No, I'm afraid not. Anyway, that's the end of that. Thank you very much.